motherfucking Mahomes. God, this is a wonderful, beautiful day for me. I know I talked a little bit earlier on BDE, sort of the disrespect or kind of indifference that was shown to the Kansas City Chiefs earlier into the year, and even throughout the season, trying to crown guys like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, even Justin Herbert, the AFC West. But I just want to get into why this is such a big game, both for him and for his legacy. When you, as a quarterback, are a two-time Super Bowl MVP, that puts you in a class where you're basically NFL royalty. There have been 3 players in NFL history who have won 2 regular season MVPs and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. They are Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and now Patrick motherfucking Mahomes. And have I mentioned that he has only been a starting quarterback in the NFL for 5 seasons? He has already put together a career in which he would walk straight into the Hall of Fame straight off the field. He has already put together a resume that, in my opinion, is top 3 in NFL history. And watching him play quarterback for the past 5 seasons, he is the best quarterback I've ever seen. When you look at being the best at something, one of the things that I think gets undervalued is he does things at the quarterback position that no other quarterback in the history of humankind can do. Got all-time greats like Joe Montana and Tom Brady wish that they could do. He has sort of reinvented how to play the position with all the crazy passes, moving around in the pocket, all that good stuff, and it's all been on display all throughout his amazing and prolific career.
So far. Still so much to be written.
And isn't that the crazy part? Right now, he is absolutely firmly on the GOAT trajectory. You couldn't say that if he didn't get Super Bowl number 2. And don't get me wrong, he needs to win more than that to actually have a GOAT career where you look at him as the greatest of all time. But as of right now, he is the best. And you want to know why? Because by every single metric, by every single stat, he is the best regular season quarterback of all time on a per-throw basis. And in the playoffs, he does nothing but elevate his game. That is crazy. He is first all-time in regular season passer rating and also first all-time in postseason passer rating. He is first all-time in passing yards per game in the regular season and first all-time in total yards by a quarterback passing and rushing in the postseason. He is second all-time in regular season touchdown to interception ratio, first all-time in playoff touchdown to interception ratio with an absurd 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. When you include the 5 rushing touchdowns, that's 40-7. And have I not also mentioned that he is first all-time in regular season touchdown passes per game and first all-time in playoff touchdown passes per game? 2 regular season MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He is already the 3rd greatest quarterback of all time, and he is the best quarterback I have ever seen play the position. And last night just did so much for his legacy. He's a made man. He is NFL royalty, and he's not done.
And you know, there's other things that he has as well.
Yes.
That the other quarterbacks don't, which is a terrible, annoying wife and a stupid-ass, annoying brother.
You know what's funny though?
What?
I didn't even care. I saw Jackson Mahomes looking stupid in the background of that interview, and honestly, the wife is annoying, yeah. But
she probably gives that gawk 3000.
Well, that too, but
better have some mean head game if he's put up with her this long.
But here's the thing. I say this as a married man, obviously, but her looks have kind of grown on me. She's not so bad.
This guy's coping right now. Not a chance.
I mean, they don't. It's funny how 2 Super Bowls and a Super Bowl win, all that stuff just goes away.
Just makes her look nice.
And you know what else? And I think we all would agree with this. At least during the regular season, I feel like his family just sort of stayed out of the way. My guess is that Patrick Mahomes pulled them aside this offseason and kind of gave them a little stern talking to, because the only reason that they are famous is because they are a Mahomes. And for the most part, they stayed out of trouble. But if you're going to act a fool and act annoying, at least do it when Patrick wins a Super Bowl,
Like
Super Bowl MVP. Hey, just like me, it's my day. It's a wonderful day.
It is a wonderful day. It was a great Super Bowl. One of the best Super Bowls that I've seen in a long time, besides the last minute and a half there that kind of tainted the waters a little bit.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in depth. We're going to talk about a lot of things going on, including the Lions having the 9th best Super Bowl odds going into next season. That's pretty wild. But one thing I want to talk about for a little bit is Rihanna. We all know that Rihanna had the halftime performance yesterday, and it was mid. Some may say, all the girls are like, "Oh, Rihanna, slay! Slay, girl, you killed it!" It was kind of mid. But there have been some rumblings that Rihanna was or is expecting. We have a picture here. You can put that up, Chris. That you can see that she might, she might be having another baby pretty soon with one ASAP Rocky. But something I thought of. Have you ever been in a situation where a coworker or a friend of yours or somebody just gets fat and you tell them like, "Congratulations"? Like, I hope you're loving the baby. It's going to be awesome. And they look at you and they're like, "I'm not having a baby."
Oh, no.
Ooh.
What if that is what happened to Rihanna on a grand stage, on a worldwide stage? Like, she's not even pregnant. And everybody's like, "Oh, pregnant queen, look at you go." And it's just, publicist confirmed she's pregnant, says Peaceful Tim. I'm going to wait for her to
That's what a publicist does.
Yeah, that's what a publicist does. But I'm just saying, it does look as if she is pregnant. So props to her.
Yes.
She is. She went out there and performed, and it was more of a concert than it was a performance. It was just like a concert. But what if, I'm just saying, what if she's not pregnant? And she's just got the whole world firing off texts. "You go, girl. So pregnant, so beautiful." And she's just like, "Oh, fuck. Like, I gotta hit the gym."
There's no way, right? Because if you're Rihanna, if you know this is kind of your comeback performance, you're going to want to be in tip-top shape. But if she isn't, and that's the thing, everybody is just showering her with adulation. And I get it. If you're pregnant, making sort of a comeback performance, at least even if it was mid, you're kind of reminded that Rihanna did have a lot of hits. It was a good moment for her, I think, overall. But if it's all tainted by, "Wait a minute, I'm not pregnant. What are you talking about? Do I look like I put on a few pounds?" Well, yes, but we all thought there was an excuse.
I'm just saying it'd be funny because I'm sure she is pregnant. Like you guys said in the chat, her publicist came out and said that she was pregnant. She did look a little pregnant, but what if it's one of those situations where it's like, "Oh, congratulations, when are you expecting?" And they're just like, "What?" And that just happened on a world scale. Like, everybody firing off tweets. She's just in the back crying. It's like, oh,
I've seen those in sitcoms, what you're describing, Spencer, but like, I've never had that real life moment. Have you ever been involved in that or seen anything like that in real person, though? Like, fake congratulations, or not the fake congratulations, but the miscongratulations for the pregnancy?
I have not, but it definitely happens.
Oh, it definitely 100% happens.
It's never happened to me. I've never made that mistake.
Yeah, you've never been congratulated for your pregnancy.
I've never been, somebody congratulated me earlier, but that was just because I'm a little chubby. But I'll take that. We are the heavyweights. But it's, again, we'll see.
Hey, have you guys ever seen that meme of the lady just like bent over with the glasses staring?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I was looking at the TV the other day. Like, is she?
It looks like it.
She might be.
No, but if she is, and it all signs are alluding to that she is, and she went out there and was suspended hundreds of feet in the air on a Super Smash Bros. Stage, that she did a good job.
Yeah.
It was a good job.
It's a little irresponsible, though.
I mean,
I don't want to be like police or anything, but
the fun police,
which I tend to be from sometimes. But you know what? It's all good.
Yeah, it was all good. She did a good job. Super Bowl commercials were good too. We asked around. We're not going to do this too much about Super Bowl commercials and halftime show because nobody really gives a shit. But before the show, we were talking about our favorite commercials from the game because it is a big part of the game.
Absolutely.
And I said probably the Ben Affleck one, the very first one when he was in the Dunkin' drive-through taking the orders. I thought that was probably my favorite. Did you have one that stood out to you or you remembered?
Honestly, it was probably the Tubi one, and I think that had more to do with the fact that I wasn't really paying much attention to the commercials because I was just basically because I'm such a big Patrick Mahomes fan and I'm kind of a psychopath when it comes to football, I was in agony the whole game. But the Tubi commercial, it gave you the effect that you had, or kind of the illusion that you'd stepped on your remote or something and that it had just been changed on you accidentally. And I've had that happen to me before. And I believe it was towards the end of the fourth quarter. I think it might have even been a tie game. And of course I'm looking at being like, oh my God, did I step on the remote? Did my cat step on the remote? Did my wife step on the remote or something? So that was very, very well done. That was the one that I remember just because I thought it was something that happened and I wasn't going to get to see the end, and that was just not acceptable to me.
That's fair. JB, did you have a favorite commercial that you can remember from the big game?
For me, it was that GM or like GMC car commercial, the erectile or whatever.
Yeah, they're playing it off like ED.
Yeah, they're playing off words of like ED for your car. The electric car is coming soon. So that was kind of funny. I thought that was a smart way to go about it.
I like that one. Chris, did you have one that stood out?
I didn't have one that stood out, no.
Did you even watch the Super Bowl?
No.
You didn't?
I was working the other job.
Oof.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have been with you guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We were at the Flight Club. It was a good time. A lot of fun. Had a prime rib dinner that was delicious. A lot of great talent there. I'll say that. Can't go into detail, but it was a lot of fun. And it was a great Super Bowl. Like we talked, one of the best Super Bowls I've seen for a while. But it does mean that there isn't going to be any more NFL football for a long time, which does make this day a little sad.
This might be a little bit controversial, but I've actually had enough for this season. I kind of feel like I can exhale a little bit. This was my first football season working for Woodward Sports or working in sports media in any way, shape, or form. So I had an extra investment in the games. I kind of had to watch them more critically, especially during Michigan and Lions games. Those games would just F me up because I'd be so nervous and I'd want my narratives to work out so bad that I couldn't even enjoy the games. I'd get exhausted even watching them. Like I'm on fumes right now.
Yeah.
I'm actually not even really here. I'm barely even lucid.
You said you were off, an hour and a half of sleep?
Hour and a half of sleep. And I'll gladly take it because I'm just happy that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP. But I'm ready, even though the Tigers are going to suck, for a nice afternoon at Comerica Park in game like 52 of 162. That means nothing, and I can just kick back and relax.
I'm excited
for
that
football.
too. I'm excited for baseball. I didn't go to Comerica Park at all last year, so I'm excited to get down there this year and get a game in. And people did say, Peaceful Tim in the Woodward Sports chat says the Hutch commercial was meh. How'd you feel about that? The NFL commercial.
I mean, it was fine.
There's a lot of big names.
Yeah, like it's just good to see an Aiden Hutchinson be on a Super Bowl commercial. I mean, with him, more and more keeps happening that shows that he made an impact nationally. Even like the Pepsi Rookie of the Year being on a Super Bowl commercial. I was just happy to. I'm not gonna critique it too hard. Be like Simon Cowell.
Yeah, no, it was all right. And it's enough commercials. We're not gonna have any more commercial talk. We're definitely gonna get into the ending of that game in a little bit. We're going to talk about the Lions Super Bowl odds, and it is mock draft season, so we're going to go around and talk about who we want at 6 and 18 for the Lions. But first, let me tell you guys about Big Boy, because wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. Try the classic meatloaf or Cajun chicken Alfredo. What about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. They got the Lumberjack, Santa Fe Garden, or Blockbuster. Stop by your local Big Boy today and satisfy those taste buds.
Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Get a shot up. This is for the win.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Chili Peppers tanning. It is officially tan week this week from February 11th to the 18th. It is tan week from now until Saturday. New customers go to any Chili Peppers tanning location and get any UV tanning free today. Fellas, let me give you some insight. If you haven't finished your Valentine's stuff yet, or if you want to get something a little late, trust me, that is the move. Go for it. 50% off all lotions, including the favorites, Australian Gold, Designer Skin, Caltan, and Swedish Beauty lotions.
Brazilian
Join
lotions.
the Pepper Club for all the best deals so they beat all competitors by $5. $5, y'all. Come on, you know what the deal is. ChiliPepperTanning.com. The hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, the darkest tans.
At Chili Peppers Tan. What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. We just got this guy's initial reaction. I am Spencer Raxter. He is Flannel Sam. We've got Chris Platty in the TD booth and JB Smooth on the ones and twos. Obviously, we're going to talk some Super Bowl because it was one of the best games that I've seen in a long time. It's back and forth. There's a lot going on. Long, sustained drives by both teams. But at the end of the game, with what, a minute 30 left, there was a crucial penalty on a third down by James Bradbury. That was called a defensive holding on Juju Smith-Schuster that resulted in the Chiefs getting the ball back 1st and 10 from like the 11-yard line, running the clock out, kicking the field goal with 6 seconds left to secure their win. I thought it was pretty weak. I thought it was a weak call. Didn't look like he grabbed him that much, especially to kind of give the Chiefs the game at that point. I understand there was still time left, but there would have been around 40 seconds left, maybe even closer to a minute for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to be able to try to get the ball down the field and at least get in the field goal range if the Chiefs ended up scoring. And for such a good game like that, and what it was, one of the best Super Bowls I've seen in a long time, to come down to a controversial penalty at the end was somewhat disappointing to me.
I understand that. I understand the sentiment that in that big of a moment, making that call, it's tough. James Bradbury, for the record, did admit that he did hold Juju Smith-Schuster, although I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster would have made that catch no matter what, but his defensive holding, whether it's catchable or not, has no bearing on the outcome. My thing is, and credit to most people, I don't see too many people blaming the refs as much as they were in the AFC Championship. I think James Bradbury diffused a lot of that by saying, I just hoped I would get away with it. But the Philadelphia Eagles and their fans and anybody who's suggesting any kind of excuse with the refs need to look themselves in the mirror. Because the Eagles did a myriad of things that you cannot do in the Super Bowl if you want to win, especially against a prolific team or prolific offense like the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce-led Kansas City Chiefs that also happen to have their running game humming. They lost the turnover battle 1-0, and their one turnover resulted in a fumble return for a touchdown. The Philadelphia Eagles also gave up a 65-yard punt return to Kadarius Toney, in which the Eagles punter punted a line drive and gave Kadarius Toney just a perfect ball to run on, and he broke a tackle in reverse field. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles gave up 38 points. If you give up 38 points, one of the best defenses in all of the NFL, had the most sacks of any team in the NFL, had 4 players more than 11 sacks. They didn't sack Patrick Mahomes one time, and they gave up 38 points, including 24 in the second half. Every single time the Chiefs had a possession, they scored in the second half. So my thing is, yeah, the call was a little ticky-tack. I don't know if I would have made it in that situation, and it made it so that instead of the Chiefs kicking a go-ahead field goal and the Eagles getting another chance on offense, they were basically able to kick one with no time left on the clock. But that being said, the Eagles have nobody but themselves to blame, and credit to them, most of them, especially Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, James Bradbury, they're being very gracious and humble in defeat. But I don't want to hear about the refs stealing this game. It was a could go either way call.
And would you say that Jalen Hurts had a better game than Patrick Mahomes?
I would say that Jalen Hurts, for the most part, did more.
He had 374 yards and 4 total touchdowns.
His statistics will say that he did. He was asked to do more. I'll give him that. And Jalen Hurts, there will be no Jalen Hurts slander from me on this show because he played more than well enough to win. Mm-hmm. And if the Eagles would have won the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts would have been the no doubt MVP. But the one thing that he did do, and I'm going to preface this by saying he more than made up for it. He did have a crucial turnover, which was basically unforced.
Yes.
The Eagles had a 14-7 lead. The Chiefs were reeling. The Chiefs couldn't stop them. And if they get that first down, if they go drive down the field and Jalen Hurts doesn't fumble, I think they score again, at least make it 17-7 or 21-7, and I think they win the game. But not only was it a terrible fumble, it was picked up in return for a touchdown. You're giving the Chiefs, who do not need it, 7 free points.
Yes.
So to me, the Eagles, in a lot of ways, they played a good game. But in a lot of ways, too, it was more of a Jalen Hurts carry job than it ever should have been.
Yeah.
The defense.
They couldn't run the ball.
Yeah, the running game got nothing done outside of Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. The defense kind of picked the worst moment of the year to doo-doo down their leg. And I know it's tough going against the Patrick Mahomes-led offense. Andy Reid, a wizard, the running game was humming.
Field conditions were pretty bad,
Field conditions were bad, but both teams had to play on it.
Yes.
That's the thing. I know it's hard going against the Chiefs, but if they would have forced one punt in the second half, they'd probably win. Mm-hmm. Eagles, this one's going to sting, but it's all your fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault. I agree. You can't really blame it on the, although it does taint it a little bit because it is the flag. You can't blame it on that. You can blame it on the unforced fumble, where Jalen Hurts basically just threw the ball into the ground.
Yep.
It was scooped and scored by Nick Bolton. You can blame it on that punt that was just a low line drive right to Kadarius Toney that set the Chiefs up inside the 5-yard line.
Yep.
There were a myriad of things that you can blame it on. The refs, you do have the quote from James Bradbury after the game. This is what he said. He said, yeah, I was holding, I tugged on the jersey. He admitted it. And, yeah, you could see it in super slow-mo that he pulls the jersey a little bit. But, again, kind of a weak call. You could call that on damn near every play.
And I think that the average football fan, not somebody like me who was rooting hard for the Chiefs, wanted Jalen Hurts to get one more chance to see if he can tie the score or even take the lead. Me, I just wanted the Chiefs to win at all cost. I do have to say, I commend James Bradbury. He's got a new... I always liked his game, but he's got a new official fan in me. I think he diffused a lot of the Twitter mob, a lot of the Eagle outrage people who were going to blame the refs because the easy comeback is your own guy who committed the penalty admitted that he did it. And he said, and I know a lot of football players, a lot of athletes in all sports, they want to sort of test what they can get away with. That's what he admitted it. I give him a lot of credit. He says, I held. I was hoping that they wouldn't call it. But they did. And it basically gave the Chiefs a game. But at the same time, we also have to remember that the Chiefs were going to get a go-ahead field goal anyway. The Eagles had already allowed them to drive down the field. It wasn't, there was...
Still would have been 50 seconds left compared to 6.
And that is fair. But there's no guarantees that the Eagles would have went down and scored. Do I think the odds were good? Probably. But who knows? Steve Spagnuolo might have
dialed something up.
He might have, like he did for the Giants.
Anything can happen. You can't... Excuse me, you can't expand off of ifs or maybes. We know what happened, and what happened was the Chiefs won, and they deserved it. They played a great game. Both sides of the ball in the second half, they played very fantastic, and we see going forward now, they're going to have some decisions to make, obviously with the Patrick Mahomes contract and the inflation of that. You're looking at Frank Clark and Chris Jones both coming up on defensive contracts, what they're going to be able to do. They can't pay both of those guys unless somebody takes a severe pay cut, which I highly doubt. Chris Jones is going to be the highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL.
He's earned it.
Frank Clark is going to ask for some serious money, who's also earned it. How you think the Chiefs are right back there next year in the Super Bowl?
I think they got to be the favorites. And first of all, if you're choosing between Chris Jones and Frank Clark, please, for the love of God, pay Chris Jones, because Chris Jones is transcendent. I think he's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer and is the best D tackle in the NFL right now, even over guys like Quinnen Williams and of course, Aaron Donald. Me, though, one thing that gives me a lot of hope, look at how well the Kansas City Chiefs have drafted both this year and last year. And last year's draft, the one before, the 2021 draft, Creed Humphrey, Nick Bolton. Huge contributors.
Yes.
In this past draft, we talk about the Detroit Lions draft in 2022 being one of the best in the NFL, being one of the best draft classes they've ever had. The Chiefs feel the exact same way. Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Watson, who had 2 playoff interceptions, Joshua Williams, who had a playoff interception, Sky Moore, a guy who didn't do a ton in the regular season, but he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And if you remember in the AFC Championship, he had the big punt return yet to set up a short field for the Chiefs to go kick a game-winning field goal. And even Leo Chenal. Leo Chenal was the starting linebacker on last night's game, and he made some plays.
He did.
So they're set up. Brent Veach has done a phenomenal job at retooling this roster because we all know there needed to be some retools. They lost Tyreek Hill. They lost Tyrann Mathieu. They don't have Eric Fisher anymore. And that, to me, is what gives hope. He's kind of like their Brad Holmes, a guy that when you see draft picks, you know that he's going to hit. And this is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a team. This isn't the Lions who are rebuilding. These are the Chiefs. The best franchise of the past 5 years.
Super Bowl winners. And one thing I do want to mention, I know I talked about it a little bit, and I'm not making this as an excuse. Because, like you said, both teams played on it. Arizona should be ashamed of themselves for those field conditions.
That's fair.
That was embarrassing. You had players on both sides of the ball slipping and falling all night. It's lucky that somebody didn't get seriously injured with the conditions of that field last night. It was embarrassing to see that. That is the biggest game on the biggest stage. You have 2+ weeks to prepare for it. You know it's going to be there all year. Arizona, the Cardinals aren't playing in the damn playoffs, so you can have that shit ready all playoffs. And that is the result you get on the biggest stage. It's embarrassing that's what they had to go through. It's embarrassing that you see kickers almost rolling their ankles when they're trying to plant and make kickoffs. That was terrible. Yeah,
and that is something I can definitely agree with because both teams had to play on it, but you shouldn't be slipping and sliding and having that kind of field conditions during the Super Bowl, during what can be, if you want it to be, a climate-controlled event in Arizona. What are we doing? Do better, NFL. We want to see the best 2 teams, especially when there's no elements like they had in a couple Super Bowls, like the one, I think the Bears and Colts had rain, and the Seahawks and Broncos had some inclement weather. There's no excuses for this one.
No excuses at all.
Get it together.
It was just terrible. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they get their 2nd Super Bowl. Travis Kelce. I'm happy for those guys because I wasn't like mad that the Eagles lost or anything. I did want to see the Eagles win a little bit more because I wanted to see Jalen Hurts get one. I wanted to see D. Slay get one. But, the Chiefs made the plays when they needed to make them and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's not just Patrick Mahomes whose legacy just gets solidified times like an utmost degree. Andy Reid, we can talk about him as a top 5 coach of all time, definitely top 10. We can talk about Travis Kelce, in my opinion, and I said this on BDE earlier, one of the 5 greatest receivers who's ever played NFL football right now, and he's a tight end. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is second in every significant playoff receiving record to one Jerry Rice, who's the undisputed best wide receiver of all time, plus the but at least for longevity, he's got all the records. I understand what you're saying. Plus the 7,000-yard seasons in the regular season for a tight end. He's basically redefined what it means to be great as a tight end.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Well, before we get into who's got the Super Bowl odds next year, why don't you tell us about Swiss Insurance?
Swiss Insurance, of course. Be sure to check with Swiss Insurance this week for your commercial insurance review. Many businesses choose a 1/1 effective date. Swiss can help make sure you have the proper coverage. Swiss Insurance, give it a shot and you won't be disappointed. Email them at mark@swissins.com. That is mark@swissins.com.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. We just got done talking about this year's Super Bowl and what a performance it was by the Kansas City Chiefs to get that win over the Philadelphia Eagles, even though Jalen Hurts did just about damn near everything in his power to get that dub. But now, we've got to talk about next year's Super Bowl. Because we're already there. We already got the odds out. Chris, can you put up the odds, like the graphic? This is something I was surprised. The Detroit Lions are tied for the 9th best odds at plus 2,500 to win the Super Bowl next year. They're there with the Jets, the Jaguars, the Packers, and then you got the Chargers and other teams ahead of them. But the Detroit Lions have the 9th best Super Bowl odds next year. What a far cry from 2 years ago when everybody was already off Dan Campbell because the terrible 3-win season starts this year 1-6, has a roaring comeback through the second half of the season, is a Baker Mayfield interception away from making the playoffs, and now starting off the next year with the 9th best odds to win the Super Bowl. Is that realistic? Is that too much too soon, or are they right where they need to be?
9th looks to me to be about right. That's because it goes off of what the Lions did last year, how they are built, and what they're bringing back, and the possibilities of what they can add. I mean, think about it. They had their last 10 games of the season, they were 8-2. Their defense played well. It was one of allowed, I believe, 20 points per game and gave up less than 20 points in 6 games. But think about it. They have a competent GM that we all love and think that he will continue to bless this team with talent.
Yes.
The coaching staff, we all believe in Dan Campbell. Ben Johnson is back, which I think is as big as anything, that he's the guy that can get this offense clicking on all cylinders again, and he is back, and I thought we would lose him. Aaron Glenn's a guy on the defensive coordinator that, to me, the defense started playing under him more. A lot of the young guys developed. The Aiden Hutchinsons, the Malcolm Rodriguez, the James Houston came out of basically nowhere, and Aaron Glenn deserves a lot of credit for it. I know that he's not the favorite of the heavyweights, but even Jared Goff running this system on offense, he is a guy that you can win a division with. He's a guy that you can win playoff games with, and especially he knows the system. He has chemistry with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's protected by an elite offensive line. The running game, if they bring back a Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, it produced an 1,000-yard season for Jamal Williams and a Barry Sanders record for rushing touchdowns in a season. And then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, like I said. Jamison Williams, you hope, takes a leap. It has to do with they're bringing back a lot of their most important players. Their draft picks are young, and they're only going to get better. Do you expect Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell to take another leap?
You do. You do. You expect Hutchinson to take a leap.
Yes.
You expect James Houston to only get better. And let's not forget, Brad Holmes has 4 picks in the first 2 rounds of this year's NFL draft that's littered with talent that can help on the defense. It is something I like to see. And I do think they should be a little better. Those odds should be a little better for the Detroit Lions. This is a team you're expecting to win the NFC North. This is a team you're expecting to have a home playoff game. This is a team that at the end of the year this year looked like they could hang and they could bang with anybody in the NFL. For me, 9th is a little low.
Look at hold on. Here's some more of the odds. Would you put them over any of these teams that?
This is our guy Mike Sullivan out there putting up the odds. The Lions have the 9th best Super Bowl odds. I would put them over the Ravens. I would put them over the Cowboys.
Ooh. See, I might put them over the Ravens.
I think, the Ravens are going to...
Right.
Are they going to have Lamar or not? There's going to be a lot of drama in that.
Yeah, and that's the question. We've seen the Ravens, if they don't have Lamar, if they have Tyler Huntley or anybody else, their offense just isn't the same. And the Cowboys, the Cowboys kind of always cowboy, but I still like their talent. Obviously, their defense and their pass rush is damn good. Dak and CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a pretty good combination. I would still put the Cowboys above them, but I think that list sort of speaks to the Lions are about right where they should be, and that's no disrespect. There's a lot of good teams in the NFL. There's definitely a lot of good teams in the AFC. And if I see this, and if I looked at that list correctly, the third highest odds in the NFC. I think that's fourth besides the Cowboys,
yes.
But they're slightly below the Cowboys.
I think for the Cowboys to be that high is kind of weird. You see what they lost Kellen Moore. Who knows what that offense is going to look like next year?
Big.
Dan Quinn could be out. Yeah. There are still positions that need to be filled, and Dan Quinn is one of the hottest names on the market for a head coaching spot. And they're the Cowboys. They always choke. This is a Lions team that is hungry. We saw what they looked like at the end of the year. They're only going to get better. They have enough money in free agency to get a certified stud on defense. They have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. They have Jared Goff coming off his best season probably of his career, definitely obviously of his Lions tenure.
Sure.
You look at what they've done. They did it without Jameson Williams being a part of the offense. Jameson Williams could be such a demonstrative, explosive talent in that offense that you give him a full year to be instilled into the Ben Johnson system, a full year to get his chemistry with Jared Goff. This team is going to be scary. Like I said, I have them right now. They're winning the NFC North.
And if you win the NFC North, if you win a division, in my opinion, by that, you are a Super Bowl contender because you get a home playoff game. You might even get a bye. And what I was going to say about that list is when it comes to the NFC, I know the Cowboys technically have higher odds than the Lions, but what did we say before the playoffs? What did we say kind of towards the end of the season when the Lions were playing 8-2 football, some of the best football we've ever seen Lions play ever, maybe the best, that there's 2 teams in the NFC that I would say would have beaten the Lions in the playoffs, the Eagles and the 49ers. And those are the ones that have the highest odds. And then the Cowboys, they don't necessarily scare me for next year. And even the 49ers, think about it. They have a question mark at quarterback. The Eagles, they're going to eventually have to pay Jalen Hurts. One of the reasons they were able to put together top to bottom probably the best roster in the NFL was because Jalen Hurts is so cheap. This is the Lions' time. And now you're kind of talking me into the whole maybe they should be a little bit higher.
I'm not saying give them like plus 900 odds or anything like that, but I think the Cowboys are going to be the 3rd best team in their own division next year.
Ooh.
I think the Giants and the Eagles are going to be a better team than the Cowboys next year, and you look at what the Lions have in front of them, they should own the NFC. They owned the NFC North this year.
They did.
They should do it again next year, and that should give them first place in the NFC North, a home playoff game, and all the confidence in the world. Like I said, I'm not going crazy and saying they should be one of the top 4 favorites, but I think the Cowboys over them is a little much. The Ravens, we don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson and that situation. If he comes back, if he plays, if he's healthy, then yeah, I would put the Ravens over them. But right now, you can't say he is.
Is the fact that the Lions are in the NFC, does that have anything to do with maybe they should be a little bit higher? Because they're going to be fighting it out. I mean, it's a weak conference right now. You never know what's going to go on in the offseason. You never know what the player improvements, signings, how the draft is going to shake out. But the AFC is king right now.
Yes.
So you're looking at the Lions. We all expect them to win the NFC North. I know it kind of sounds crazy as Lions fans, but none of those teams scare me. They're all sort of on the downswing except the Bears, who just have so far to go that they're not going to see the whole fruits of what they're building.
Yeah.
And then you got the Eagles, the 49ers.
And we got Braylon in the chat. Shout out to Braylon. He says, you realize that one of the best defensive minds is now the D coordinator for the Vikings. Yeah, but also
Brian
the
Flores.
average age of the Vikings defense is 65 years old. They got a bunch of grandpas back there. I'm not scared of the Vikings defense, even with Brian Flores, who is a great football mind and a great defensive mind.
I mean, they had a bet. The thing about the Vikings, which is such an anomaly, is they had a bad defense with fossils, with all due respect, like Patrick Peterson and Harrison Smith, having some of the highest interception totals of their career. They had a bad defense with Zadarius Smith and Daniil Hunter both having 10-plus sacks. I don't know if they'll be able to repeat that. I don't see the pathway besides Brian Flores, which I think is a great hire. I don't know how much that he can do with a defense that is aging. Do they have some young guys that I think can do some things? Sure. But to bet on the Vikings defense, Brian Flores can only make them so much better, although that is a good hire.
Like you said, they were 11-0 in one-score games.
Outer space.
That is not going to happen.
Will never happen
You
again.
can take it to the bank that is not going to happen again next year.
That'll never happen again to any team for the rest of the NFL's existence. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah.
That is outer space level good.
It is. It is. And it doesn't happen like that in the NFL. The NFL is a lot of one-score games for sure.
Yeah.
But being 11-0 is just insane. And we saw the Vikings get exposed as frauds when they got into the playoffs, which they were. They were frauds this year. The most fraudulent team in the NFL.
I mean, if you want to talk about how bad the Vikings defense was, and this is no disrespect to Daniel Jones, who had a better year, but they basically gave up the Daniel Jones legacy game.
Yes.
That's basically what happened.
One of the best games of his career.
And definitely, given the circumstances, the best game of his career. He did anything that he wanted through. He got anything he wanted through the air against that terrible, terrible Vikings pass defense, which if we're going to single out an aspect of their defense, their pass defense was the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, the Lions,
second to worst,
they're on the rise. They're young.
Yep.
They're hungry. They can go out. They can afford a defensive playmaker, and they can get 3 of them with their first 4 picks, because I have implicit trust in Brad Holmes, and whatever he picks, whoever he brings in here in the draft, I know they're going to be a good player and produce results.
100%. And with the defense, you look at all the really standout rookies for the Lions last year were defensive players. You look at Josh Pascal, who didn't even play a lot of the year, but what if he develops into something?
When he played, he had 2 sacks in a game. Yeah.
He showed something. He had a pulse, and I think he's got great ability. And also, when we talk about what the Lions are going to do in the draft, which we'll get into more later, most of us, I think, would agree that they need to solidify their defense even more. Because their offense already, it was elite last year, and you're getting back Jameson Williams. So, to me, man, you're really talking me. I'm starting to think a little reckless now, Spenny.
Like I'm saying, I'm not going anything too crazy. Nothing like plus 1,500 or anything like that, but give them plus 2,000, a little bit more, a little bump. Nothing
Allow
crazy,
yourself to believe, Lions fans.
But tell us about Alta.
Absolutely, because at Alta,
uptime
matters, of course. Alta equipment has everything you need to get the job done, especially if you've got that bog project, which I know everybody has experienced sometime in their life. And if you got one, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today at 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That is 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. I am Spencer Raxter. He is Flannel Sam. We have Chris Platty in the TD booth and JB Smooth on the ones and twos. We just got done talking about the Lions being the 9th best Super Bowl odds going into next season, and obviously they have to add to that defense.
Of course.
They're going to have to add to that defense, and looking to do so in the draft. They have 2 first-round picks. 2 picks inside the top 20. 2 places where you can get a serious contender, a player that can make some serious noise. And it's mock draft season, baby. The Super Bowl's over. The season's over.
Already.
So it's time to do some mock draft season. Sam, who would be your sweetheart? We'll start with number 6. Who would be your sweetheart in number 6 in the draft for the Detroit Lions?
So we have to talk realistic, obviously.
Yes.
I'm going to take Jalen Carter and Will Anderson
obviously,
off the table.
Those would be everyone's choice.
Off the table. And I've already said before that I wouldn't be opposed to them drafting a Bryce Young if he falls. But I'm not going to go to those type of scenarios. I'm going to go with a guy that I have been touting from the beginning. A lot of people are not as high on him as me. But I'm going to, of course, go with Brian Brzee of Clemson because one of the biggest needs for the Detroit Lions is an interior defensive lineman, a playmaking interior defensive lineman. I know Brad Holmes, I would say he hit on Aleem McNeil, but in the interior defense, and I know Isaiah Buggs obviously played
well.
Yeah, he did. He played well.
He was a happy surprise.
He was a happy surprise. But to me, I want them to go young. I want them to go with Bryan Bresee at number 6, and that's just because he's got talent that I believe is comparable to a Jalen Carter. He suffered an injury his sophomore year, and his time in Clemson just so happened to coincide with DJ Uiagalelei's time in Clemson, which means that they weren't going to the college football playoff. And why I'm saying that is because he didn't kind of get the national run or play in the college football playoff as much as previous Clemson players had, or as much as a Jalen Carter had. But Bryan Bresee to me has everything that you want. He's got great size, great speed. He's a guy that gets through the blocks and finishes tackles. He had 4 sacks his freshman year. He was the number 1 recruit in the country coming into Clemson. 6.5 tackles for loss. And then even last season, 3.5 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss. Still didn't quite look like what he was before, but I'm hoping with another offseason, see what he does at the combine. It does scare me a little bit that he doesn't have a lot on tape from the past couple of years, and that he looks like the injury, he's not quite 100% healed from it. But I think a healthy Bryan Bresee is one of those guys that you look in 5 years and he has a resume and has a career that is every bit as good, maybe better than Jalen Carter's. Because Bryan Bresee, just going off of the measurables, is almost the physical freak that Jalen Carter is. Yeah. And especially given the need for the Lions at defensive tackle, I would take Bryan Bresee at 6.
Okay, I like it. JB, you got somebody that you're in love with at 6 for the Lions?
I'm kind of stuck between these two guys. It's the Tyree Wilson or Christian Gonzalez for me.
I like Tyree Wilson a lot.
I mean, I like him too, but honestly, I think they might end up with Christian Gonzalez just because he is a lockdown corner. I mean, he's not that great in zone coverage, but still, man-to-man, the dude dominates. And if you just pair him with Jeff Okudah, you got a young corner core right there. And just think about it. If Jeff Okudah locked down Justin Jefferson back then in the Vikings game, just imagine how both of these would be on the field. You're not passing on the Lions. You're not passing them. That's it.
I like it. It's, at 6, my favorite situation would be the Lions trade back. Trade back, maybe fair. Grab another second rounder or something. But we're not doing that right now. We're not talking about going into depth. I am going Christian Gonzalez. I am in love with this kid. I've been watching his tape a lot. He is long. He is fast. The way he can flip his hips from inside to outside routes, get vertical down the field, make plays on the ball with his length and his speed and athleticism. It is extremely impressive. I think the 2 glaring holes on the Detroit Lions team is interior defensive line and the cornerback position. And this is something that you could put out there. We've talked about already all of these young corners who come into the league and make immediate impacts. Obviously, Sauce Gardner, you could throw that one out because that's an anomaly. The dude was first-team All-Pro. But you look at J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, all these different players that have high draft picks come in there and go crazy. Give me Christian Gonzalez. I think he's going to be a stud. His size, I've talked about it before. I love big cornerbacks.
Yeah.
I think especially in the division you're in, where you have a Justin Jefferson, where you have a guy in Christian Watson who looks like he's going to be a pretty damn good receiver for a long time, and he's big and fast. And then whoever the hell the Bears get, because they're going to have to get a good receiver on the outside. Give me Christian Gonzalez. I think the kid's a stud. I think he's going to be a great player in this league.
Christian Gonzalez, I like that. And we're kind of thinking along the same wavelength because at 6, I picked the defensive tackle. And at 18, and I'm going to choose between 2 because you don't know who's available. And I have seen mock drafts in which either of these 2 are available. My first choice would be Joey Porter Jr. Speaking of big corners,
big-ass corner.
No cornerback prospect is as big and physical as Joey Porter Jr. And in press man, he's the type of guy that I think could even knock a Justin Jefferson off his spot and bother him. And that would be huge. You can't let Justin Jefferson get a free release. I think that Joey Porter Jr. would be great for the Detroit Lions. I think he would be exactly what we want. He's got better ball skills than you think. He didn't get thrown at very often because for a lot of reasons. One, he shuts down half the field, and the other, and this is maybe a knock against him, the Big Ten quarterbacks just aren't that good. He didn't get challenged a ton. And my other one, if Joey Porter Jr. isn't available, would be Devin Witherspoon, the Big Ten duo of cornerbacks. He's not quite as big. He's a little more lanky than a Joey Porter Jr., but I think he's better in man-to-man and just covering and ball skills. He's the type that I think Joey Porter Jr. will jam you and bother you and knock you off your spot so that the wide receiver doesn't get targeted. I think Devon Witherspoon will be better if he is targeted at getting pass breakups and interceptions. Either one. But defensive tackle at 6, corner at 18. Who knows who will be available? That's why I chose between those two.
Okay. JB, you got somebody at 18 that you like?
You're probably not going to like this, man.
Yeah?
You're probably not going to like this. But I do like Sam's pick of Brian Brisset. But on some draft boards, I have seen him drop a little bit low, too, so where the Lions can scoop him up as well. So that would be nice there at that spot. But if he isn't available, we do need that backup quarterback. Give me Anthony Richardson.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm taking him early while you got the shot.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Anthony Richardson at 18 for JB. How do you feel about that, Sam?
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it. And like I said, JB, I respect you. You've got football intellect. You're a very, very smart guy. My thing about Anthony Richardson has always been, everybody tells me just how big of an arm he has, how athletic he is, how great he looks in shorts. But he is a quarterback. What his history has shown you is he is a quarterback who can't throw. His completion percentage was below 53% last season. He had a game in which he completed 14 of 35 passes and for 2 interceptions. In the last game against Florida State, 9 of 27. I don't like his lack of accuracy.
Yeah.
He is a combine quarterback. That's what I call Anthony Richardson. You're trying to recreate Josh Allen, but because Josh Allen wasn't always very impressive at Wyoming. But what Josh Allen is maybe a robo quarterback. If you were to build one with arm, athleticism, just everything, you would build a Josh Allen. Anthony Richardson, to me, isn't that level of freak of nature, and I don't think JB, I don't like it, but I respect your opinion, man.
Like I said, I don't like it, but, if he's there, if he's available, it's either him or running with the offense here. And I'm not too concerned with Bijan Robinson. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, what do you think about that, Flannel?
I like that a lot better. I wouldn't mind at all, and I know a lot of people think it has to be defense only. I would prefer a Quentin Johnston over a Jackson Smith and Jigba, but if you want to keep what the unit that made this team great last year humming, you don't just want to ignore it completely in the draft. I know that getting Jamison Williams back will be like getting an excellent draft pick if he pans out, obviously. But just imagine adding a Quentin Johnston or even a Jackson Smith and Jigba to this wide receiver core. It could be a top 3 offense, top 2.
It's funny that you said that, Sam Flannel. You don't want to go away from the things that you did best.
Yes.
You don't want to go away. You got to keep adding that offense if you want to get better. So how I look at it is I do think that the Lions will go probably Tyree Wilson with that first pick and then a cornerback with their second pick, whether it be Witherspoon, Gonzalez, or Joey Porter Jr.
Sure.
But for me, give me Bijan Robinson.
Ooh.
Give me Bijan Robinson at 18. We talked about this guy with our draft expert, Russell Brown, who does more homework than anybody I know, than anybody I've ever seen. Once he drops his packets, it's nuts. And he says Bijan Robinson is a top 5 talent in this draft. He's not going to get picked top 5, obviously, because of he plays running back. But Bijan Robinson, man, that guy can be something. I compared him to Delvin Cook coming out of college. Russ said he liked that comparison a lot. And this is a guy who can be a 3-down back, very explosive. You'll obviously have him with that extra year, which is really important. Give me Bijan. That's all I'm saying.
No, you know what? I don't necessarily hate it. My thing with the Bijan pick is if you were to get him in the first round, you better hope that he is elite. Because to me, I think you could get a guy like a Chase Brown, who I like a lot, who torched my Michigan Wolverines.
He did.
And you could get him in a later round. But obviously Bijan Robinson is otherworldly talented. He's, to me, the most talented running back prospect since Saquon Barkley.
I like him a lot. I think he's a great player. I think he can be a 3-down back. You don't know. Obviously, you assume Jamal Williams is coming back. But Jamal Williams, as much as we love him in Detroit, he's not a 3-down back. He's your short yardage goal line guy. DeAndre Swift, you'd like to use him in different stuff and things like that. But the guy is very injury prone. He's going into the last year of his career. I just think Bijan could be a star.
Yeah, I mean, a running back is a need, and I know we are all big Jamal Williams fans for what he brought last season, both on the ground with his 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns and with his leadership and his personality, but you never know. He's still a free agent. He wants to come back, but there's no guarantees. They might not be able to get a deal together. And DeAndre Swift, I've just been fooled way too many times. He hasn't really been able to stay healthy throughout a season. He's never proven that he can be an every down back, and I don't think he ever will. So if Bijan Robinson is the pick, I wouldn't be pounding the table. I would be excited about what he could be because he is otherworldly talented. I mean, and like you said, you can't just leave the offense alone. You never know what's going to happen. You know you're probably going to lose a guy like DJ Chark.
Yeah.
You got to keep working at and watering what makes you great.
And again, Brad is going to select the right players.
Yes.
Brad Holmes is going to select the right guys. I won't get mad no matter what they pick. Unless it's, I really want him to grab a cornerback in the first round, whether it's at 6 or 18. I'll be a little bit upset if they don't do that. I'm not going to lie. But I trust in Brad Holmes. And let me tell you guys about somewhere you can trust to get your workout in, and that is Planet Fitness, because now is the best time to join Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone, where you can work out in a non-intimidating judgment-free atmosphere. The gym that has always been known for being clean is now cleaner than ever. Has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes in a 30-minute circuit. And all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month. You want perks? You can upgrade to the Black Card, which I just got my very own Black Card over the weekend. Members enjoy the use of amenities such as unlimited tanning, hydro massage, massage chairs, and total body enhancement, along with access to over 2,000 locations across the world. Join in club or online at planetfitness.com. And remember, from February 6th through the 16th, find your big fitness energy. You can join now for only $1 down and $10 a month. Hurry, because the offer ends soon. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
As chilly weather approaches, Big Boy's got the perfect comfort meals for you. Try our hearty classic meatloaf or our creamy Cajun chicken Alfredo. These will be sure to leave you craving for more. How about breakfast? Our stuffed potato pancakes are back with our lumberjack, blockbuster, and Santa Fe Garden. These potato pancakes will definitely fill you up. Whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, come stock up on the perfect comfort meal today. We'll see you soon at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the three biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
The Foaling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling pin game called Foaling. Multiple different ways to play. They got $12 open unlimited play and private lane reservation for $120. If you get thirsty, they got a $2 mystery beer vending machine and multiple fully loaded bars for you to choose from. So make sure you go check them out in Hamtramck or visit them online at foalingwarehouse.com. What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Sports Network. Woodward Heavyweights live on woodwardsports.com. I am Spencer Raxter, joined by Flannel Sam, Patrick Mahomes' biggest fan. We have Chris Platty in the TD booth and JB Smooth on the ones and twos. We just got done talking about the Lions, what their Super Bowl odds are for next season, what we'd like to see them do in the first round of the draft, and now we have to talk about those assistant coaches.
Yes.
Who do you think is under more pressure next season? I don't want to say under pressure but who do you think will have the biggest eyes on them going into next season? Ben Johnson to repeat that performance and put up similar numbers to prove that it wasn't just a one-hit wonder, or Aaron Glenn to have his defense humming all year like it was in the second half of the season?
I'm actually going to go with Ben Johnson on this one. And this is me as somebody who has always had more faith in Ben Johnson and preferred him as a coordinator to an Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn is somebody who I've often sort of vacillated in between believing in and not believing in. But now, for the record, I do believe in him. But Ben Johnson, he was the architect of that offense that was 5th in the NFL in scoring. The reason why the Lions ultimately had a winning record was because of their offense. Obviously, their defense got better as the season went on, but their offense was great pretty much all year except for a few hiccups like against Dallas and New England. They were pretty much humming from start to finish. And Ben Johnson, he had a lot of suitors who wanted to interview him as head coach. I thought he was going to take a job. But if the Lions' offense, if it regresses, especially with a healthy Jamison Williams, if Jared Goff goes back to the Jared Goff that's more turnover prone, if they don't have another 1,000-yard rushing season by a player, by a Jamal Williams or a Bijan Robinson or DeAndre Swift, if their offensive line doesn't look as cohesive, I don't know, all those hopes and dreams that we have for the Lions, I think will go by the wayside. The offense is the engine of the team. The NFL is an offensive league. And if the Lions offense regresses, you could see this season, even though it wasn't just this season, it was the latter half of the season before, was a little bit of a mirage. Like maybe this Ben Johnson guy isn't the genius that we all think. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. But he has shown tremendous success as a coordinator. The type of success that Aaron Glenn has only had in short spurts, Ben Johnson has done for the season. And I think that if Ben Johnson's offense and the Lions' offense becomes what we hope it can become, even stays top 5, even goes higher, all the defense has to do is get a little bit better. Only allow 21 points per game. Make sure the guys like Aiden Hutchinson and Kirby Joseph, Malcolm Rodriguez, James Houston, make sure they take a leap. But nobody is asking them to be dominant. But I think as fans, as a team, as the national media, as the local media, I think we are, and we were spoiled by last year, expecting this offense to be dominant. And if they're not, we might be like, is this Ben Johnson guy really all that? Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the reality when you have expectations and a track record.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the opposite end of that. I'm going to go with Aaron Glenn because I do believe Ben Johnson is the real deal. I do believe he is going to work out that offense. It's going to have very similar results to last season. But Aaron Glenn, I got to think they're going to invest heavy in defense this offseason. Like I said, I want them to go out. I've been screaming Tremaine Edmonds for a while now. That is the guy I'd love to see them bring in and put in that linebacking core. They're going to get 3 defensive picks with those first 4, I would assume. They're going to invest heavily in that defense because they know that's the end of the ball, or the side of the ball that didn't perform last year. So it's going to be on Aaron Glenn to produce similar results as he did in the second half of the season. We're going to need to see a jump from Aiden Hutchinson. We're going to need to see Josh Pascal go out there and perform. We're going to need to see Aleem McNeil continue to have success in the interior of that defensive line. Can he do it? I do think so. I like Aaron Glenn a lot as a coach. I like him as a person. I think he got the best out of a bad situation, especially at the end of the year last year. You've got young guys that are looking to make a jump in year 2 and year 3 of their careers in the NFL. You're going to have a top-flight free agent added to that defense. You're going to have 2 top-flight, top-talent draft picks added to that defense. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Aaron Glenn to go out there, and he cannot start poorly like he did at the beginning of this year. You cannot have a historically bad defense for the first couple weeks of the season and expect to make the playoffs. There are realistic expectations on this team now to compete for an NFC North championship, to be in the playoffs at the end of the season, and you cannot do that if your defense is letting up 40 points a game at the beginning of the season, period. Aaron Glenn needs to prove that the end of the year this year was not a fluke. Aaron Glenn needs to prove that the end of the year this year was not something he pulled out of the hat, but something he consistently can do over the length of an entire season. And with the investments that are going to be added to this defense, he's going to have all the tools that he needs to do it. So with me, it's Aaron Glenn. I think he'll get it done. I do expect the defense to be much improved from last year. I'm expecting Hutchinson to make a jump. I'm expecting Kirby to make a jump. I'm expecting Malcolm to make a jump. I'm expecting the impact of Josh Pascal to be bigger. And I'm expecting 3 new starters on that defense next year.
Oh, you could absolutely see it depending on what they do in the draft. And I think you made a lot of great points, and I agree with most of what you're saying. I think the question is, does the person who has more of a track record have more pressure to validate, or does the person, in this case Aaron Glenn, have the pressure to create a full season track record? Because we all know that Aaron Glenn did a great job at the end of the year taking this defense that was poor, not even poor, horrific, and making them good. I mean, I wouldn't say dominant, but good enough
they were pretty damn good at the end of the year.
Given the offense that the Lions obviously have. And you're right, because I talked earlier about how one of the reasons why the Lions were as good as they were was because of their offense and how consistently good it was pretty much throughout the whole year, like I said, besides a few clunkers. But one of the reasons why they weren't better and why they weren't in the playoffs is because the defense had such a horrific start, and when you look at the totality of their numbers, it was still a bad defense.
Yeah.
And I'm big about the totality of what you do for a season. I mean, the greatest example of that would be the Seattle game, in which they didn't force the Seahawks to punt once. The Detroit Lions scored 45 points and lost that game. The Detroit Lions scored 35 against the NFC champion Eagles and lost that game. The Lions defense gave up a 10-point fourth quarter lead to the Vikings in the game at Minnesota and lost that game. So it's weird. You're not converting me to Aaron Glenn. The reality is, when you're a team that is up and coming and on the rise, but not there yet because in reality they haven't really done or won anything yet, both coordinators are under pressure.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson to validate, Aaron Johnson to validate, Aaron Glenn to actually create a track record.
Ben Glenn and Aaron Johnson.
Because a lot of what we like about Aaron Glenn, and rightfully so, is about getting something out of what we perceive as not a ton of talent.
Yes.
And one thing that he did really, really well, I think, is work with the younger guys.
I agree.
Because the defense, like I said, all the splash rookies were defensive players, and the defense just got so much better as the season went on. But like you said, the terrible start hurt them, and that can't happen again.
It cannot happen. You have realistic expectations as a football team this year. You can't get off to a start like that, especially on defense. JB, what are you feeling? Who has more pressure, Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson?
I'm with you, Spencer. I'm leaning towards Aaron Glenn on this one, just because, as you said, you started off this past season so poorly with that 1-6. You have to do better. You don't want to be in the position that you were at the end of the season, fighting for that final playoff spot against Green Bay, hoping another team helps you out in the end. That, and also you have a complete offseason to reevaluate and help retool these rookies to get them better for the next upcoming season. And you also have potential new rookies coming in right now. So you have to see what you're going to do with all this talent and all this fresh talent coming in as well. That, you're kind of giving me Harbaugh vibes here because you're flirting with other teams, and I don't know if I'm okay with that.
Chris?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to one word, and it's consistency for me. Ben Johnson has been more consistent than Aaron Glenn, and I get the tools that Ben Johnson has to work with versus Aaron Glenn, but Aaron Glenn last season was up and down. There was good performances, bad performances. Ben Johnson mostly was great throughout the whole season, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm rolling with Aaron Glenn has more to prove.
Well, and I'm kind of curious to kind of get your guys' thoughts really quick. Is the honeymoon period over? Because at this point, even though I'd say he's done a good job with the defenses, they've still been bad defenses.
Yeah.
We've obviously seen how the rookies develop. This is a defense that I think is going to have talent to be a real NFL defense that can make some waves. If they get off to a poor start again, are we calling for Aaron Glenn's head? Is this the year where he finally puts together a defense that is worthy of a playoff team.
I do think the honeymoon period is over with Aaron Glenn because we've seen what that defense can do. And they're talking about it in the Woodward Sports chat. Rustin Burke says, look up the stats for the 8-2 run. Damn good. And I broke those down earlier in the year on heavyweights about the QBR allowed, the sack rate, the percentage of interceptions and turnovers forced. We're all top 5 in the NFL in that 8-2 run that the Lions had. And now we know he can get it done with that team. Now he can get it done with that defense on a high level. So to be adding more pieces to that and to have the pieces you already had need to take a leap in year 2 or year 3, yeah, I think the honeymoon period is over, and Aaron Glenn and that defense need to come out firing next season.
Yeah, and we also assume that the Lions are at least gonna add another free agent, a starting free agent in the offseason. And I wouldn't hate that, and maybe get 2, 3, or 4 potential defensive starters.
Yes.
And I
think there will be 3 new starters on the defense, 2 of them being rookies.
Yeah, and what Aaron Glenn proved last year is that he could help develop those rookies. And what Brad Holmes has done is draft good rookies pretty much that's all he does is draft good players.
Yeah.
So yeah, Aaron Glenn, it's the pressure to actually prove that you're a good defensive coordinator and not just a guy who can do something with what we perceive as lesser talent.
I agree. And, if the Lions start out next season like they started out last season, I'm going to need somebody to talk to.
Same.
Luckily, we have SMA, or the Sports Marketing Agency, because the Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. So if you or someone you know needs help, make sure you go to thesportsma.com and get the help you deserve.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. I'm Spencer Axter. He is Flannel Sam. We have Chris Platty in the TD booth and JB Smooth on the 1s and 2s. We just got done talking about what we'd like to see what the Lions do for their next season and who we think have the most pressure on them. Now let's talk about some pressure on seasons going on right now, and we're going to start with the Detroit Red Wings because, Flannel, you had a plan on Friday. You put it out there. It was, 11-11-15?
It was.
Or 12-12-15?
It was like the double 15-11. 15-11 for the Red Wings and 15-11 for Dylan Larkin.
For Dylan Larkin. Yeah. And it started off very well. Started off very well. They got 2 points. They obviously beat the Canucks 5-2. And Dylan Larkin had himself 3 points in that game. He had 2 goals and an assist. They went out there and they did what they needed to do. They did what a good hockey team does in the NHL, where you go out there against an opponent that is not as good as you, not as talented as you, and you take care of business. They put up 5 goals on them. Ville Husso stopped 32 shots. It was an impressive win for the Detroit Red Wings, an impressive outing by Dylan Larkin, had a couple very nice goals, had a good helper in there, and the Red Wings now are on a 2-game win streak. They're playing the Canucks again. They're looking like they're going to go out there and hopefully rip off a good win streak that'll put them in the heat of the NHL playoff race, and hopefully they re-sign Dylan Larkin. But how are you feeling so far at the start of this streak?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I know it's one game, but I'm fully aware of the fact that 15-11 for both 15 points in 11 games, both for the Red Wings as a team and for Dylan Larkin as an individual, is very, very lofty, especially given the fact that they have 7 of their next 10 on the road, including a West Coast trip. But The good news is they got that one out of the way. They got the 2 points. Dylan Larkin had 2 goals and an assist. And to parlay that with the win they had in the previous game against Calgary, I'm not saying that I necessarily expect it, but I'm saying more of their pathway, because I want to know if this team is for real and if Dylan Larkin is actually worthy of the money he's asking for. Obviously, I don't want to see Dylan Larkin go anywhere. And as somebody who has had seasons in which he's basically been about a point per game, I would bet, I can't confirm this, but I would bet that he's had stretches where he's had 15 points in 11 games.
Yes.
So play the best hockey of your life when the team needs you the most. And he did in that game. Because when you got an opponent like the Vancouver Canucks coming to a matinee at Little Caesars Arena, you just want to smack them down, leave no doubt, make it a relaxing afternoon for Red Wings fans, and that's exactly what they did. And you got Berggren scoring 2 goals, Filip Hronek, who has been a nice surprise for the Red Wings this season, stepping up. Ville Husso continue to be that goalie who we think can be the guy for the future, a guy who's not going to have those implosions like an Alex Nedeljkovic would do from time to time, and often more than not, more than from time to time.
More than from time to time.
Keep your team in the game, and that's what he's been doing. And this leads me to this. Unfortunately, when you keep winning, especially against a team like Vancouver, it sets up more expectations. I would say that this game at Vancouver, it would be really, I wouldn't say it's a must-win. It would be really nice to get 2 points. But if you don't get at least one, the plan ain't looking so great. And I say ain't for effect. But they have done what they've had to do so far. And I put a lot of faith out there in them. I don't want to be let down, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But I felt pretty damn good watching that game, looking at that box score, being like, hey, it's doable.
It is doable.
Look like a genius.
You look at the box score, obviously they play the Canucks again tonight at 10 p.m.
Yes.
They need to win this game again, and they need to do it handily, because the schedule does not get any easier from there. After this game against the Canucks, you got the Oilers, the Flames, the Kraken, the Capitals, the Rangers, the Lightning, then 2 against the Senators, then back to the Kraken, then the Islanders. So they're going to be going against a tough road schedule pretty soon. So you need to beat up on this bad team. You need to beat up on this bad Canucks team again. Get some points in your hand and try to make a push to get yourself into playoff contention. I agree with what you said about Dylan Larkin. I don't want to see him leave, but he needs to prove that he's worth that money. Yes. He needs to go out there and lead this team to victories and put them in the heart of a playoff race if he expects to get paid $9 million a season.
I mean, I will say this. If Dylan Larkin does what I hope that he will do, score 15 points in the next 11 games. He already got 3 in one game, so that'd be 12 in the next 10 games. That doesn't sound so hard, does it? I will definitely put him higher on my tier than a Bo Horvat. And what did Bo Horvat just get? $8.5 million. He's a little older than Dylan Larkin. So Dylan Larkin, but we also know about Dylan Larkin is that he's not, you don't necessarily want him as your number one center. I mean, the Red Wings have experienced no success as a team when he's been here. It's not necessarily his fault, but even this year, even though they've had Jacob Vrana basically having nothing of a season due to personal problems, Tyler Bertuzzi has had some injury issues, you're also kind of seeing what this team would look like if Dylan Larkin is your 1C, kind of playing more like a 2C. But if he gets 12 in the next 10, 15 in the next 11, and the team plays well, then maybe I'm looking at, I'm not saying he's going to be a 1C, but be one of the best 2Cs in the NHL. Yes. Be someone who's worthy of $8.5, $9 million. And be somebody who Steve Yzerman, because I'm not convinced he does, trusts in and believes in and loves implicitly.
Yeah, I look at it like, as much as, Dylan Larkin, I do believe it is your 2C if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup. If you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, you need a 50-goal scorer on your roster, and Dylan Larkin is not a 50-goal scorer. But you look at what he's had around him, and with his best line has been Bertuzzi and Raymond, and as much as we like Bertuzzi and Raymond, those guys aren't elite wingers in the NFL. So if you put him with some serious talent, or at least one other serious goal scorer, those numbers are going to look a lot better. Obviously, Raymond is down. Wallman is down now. So the Red Wings are going to have a tough time going without a top 5 forward they have and one of their top pairing of defense. It's going to make it a lot worse. But, man, I just need to see it out of Dylan Larkin. Like you said, we need to see if he can play at that 1C level, because he's going to have to without having Wallman on the back end, without having Lucas Raymond for however long those guys are going to be out, going into a tough stretch of road games that will make or break the season for the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, and that just makes it that much tougher if you're Dylan Larkin, because he's never, like we've said, and it's sad. It's a sad reality being Dylan Larkin. He's never played with top NHL talent. He's never really played with average NHL talent. Mm-hmm. And right now, we think that a Lucas Raymond could maybe develop into that, a Mo Seider, but they're still young. They're still inexperienced, and they're still developing. And Dylan Larkin may be taking on a role that he's never really going to be fit for and is not really ready for.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just more of, this to me is the ultimate test for him, because if he's obviously off to a great start in that whole 15-11 plan for him scoring and 15-11 for the Red Wings. But what if, and I don't want to think about this because it would get me pretty despondent. What if they go 0-3-1 in their next 4 road games?
That would not be great.
And Dylan Larkin, you kind of see that he's just not that guy.
Yeah.
Then we start to have the conversations, and I don't want to have the conversations of, no way in hell should Stevie Y give him what he wants. That's not what we want, but it's reality. And I think Steve Yzerman, and I know our BDE co-host Neil Rule often says this, one of the things that he likes is that Steve Yzerman is willing to make the moves. He doesn't get close to people. He obviously isn't attached to it, like, at the heart to Dylan Larkin. He's going to do what needs to be done. It would be a shame, because if Dylan Larkin is gone and they don't get anything for him, which I don't think that would be the case, I think they would probably trade him, this team is not going to look very good in the kind of near future.
Yeah, I don't know what Dylan Larkin would go for on the market. Honestly, it's something I don't even want to think about. I'd really love to see Dylan Larkin get locked up to an 8-year deal. But it's up to Steve Yzerman if he thinks he is elite enough, if he thinks he is captain material. Obviously, he did at one point because he gave him the C, and that's not something that is taken lightly in Detroit. You see the captains before him were Henrik Zetterberg, Nick Lidstrom, and Steve Yzerman. So it's not something to be taken lightly. He's asking for a lot, and he deserves it for what he's done and what he means to the city. But if Steve Yzerman doesn't see it that way, we might see Dylan, because you can't just let him go for nothing. No. And the NHL trade deadline is coming up. If there isn't a deal done here in the next, 7 days, things are going to start getting dicey. But let me tell you guys about Lady Jane's, because you can come into Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win a down payment on your dream home up to $200,000. Lady Jane's is open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, no appointment necessary, because at Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
You have and make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. We just got done talking about the Red Wings a little bit and how they played a great game against the Canucks. They're playing the Canucks again tonight at 10 p.m. and what they got to look forward with Dylan Larkin's future still up in the air. Next, let's talk about a team who their entire future as a franchise is still up in the air. Nobody knows what they're doing. The Detroit Pistons. Yes. It was made official recently that James Wiseman is heading to Detroit. There were some complications in the trade because Gary Payton II failed his physical with an abdominal injury that the Warriors were not aware about. But now officially, the trade has went through. James Wiseman is a Detroit Piston. I don't know when we're going to see him in the lineup. But what does it mean to you bringing in a guy like James Wiseman? What can he do for the Pistons at the very least this year?
This year, it's tough because I don't think we're ever going to really see if James Wiseman is a fit and what he can fully bring to this team without Cade Cunningham out there. Because I think he would be a good complement to a Cade Cunningham. I think he would be a good sort of target for pick and rolls and pick and pops and in transition, which, as we've seen, he did do in Golden State from time to time. But this year, we want to make sure that he's a fit with the Jalen Duren, for example, because Jalen Duren, what we have seen this year is that I don't want to necessarily say that he's already him, but he has.
He is. I'll say it. Okay. Jalen Duren is him.
And that's fair enough. And he has far surpassed, at least surpassed what I think our expectations were for him, at least offensively, and even with the level of a rebounder and a defender that he has been.
He was cooking Zach Collins in the post.
Oh my God, yeah.
Zach Collins, but yeah.
Still cooking him.
Yeah, absolute barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
30 and 17, or was it 30 or 32? But 30. It was 30 and 17.
17.
I know it was against the Spurs' G League team,
I ain't
but
gonna
still.
lie, I'm getting cooked.
It was against the Spurs' G League team, but still. I mean, Zach Collins is a real NBA player, but at least not defensively against Jalen Duren. But yeah, James Wiseman, I want to see if he's a fit next to Jalen Duren, if he's used as more of a backup center, which I don't really necessarily. His ceiling is too high for him to just settle to being a backup center. I want to see if there are any flashes of the potential that he had. I also want to see, and I think this is fair enough too, is he healthy? Yeah. Is his knee still bothering him? Did the Golden State Warriors basically phase him out of the rotation for a reason? Or was it just a matter of they didn't need him? It's too crowded. We don't run that kind of offense. So a change of scenery is a perfect thing for James Wiseman. That's what's crazy is that the possibilities are endless, basically good or bad. And also, if we're talking about this year too, which there's no Cade Cunningham, how does he fit with a Jaden Ivey or a Killian Hayes? Is he a big guy that will help elevate the games of Jaden Ivey or Killian Hayes? Obviously, I don't like Killian Hayes, but one thing that he does do fairly well from time to time is distribute. Will he be a guy that makes it so that Killian Hayes never has to shoot? Because I'm tired of seeing it. Will he? Like I said, will he show the potential? Will you see him working in the post? Will you see him running in transition? Will you see him hitting a jump shot? That's the thing about James Wiseman. He is very much not reached his ceiling in Golden State. He just showed flashes. But is there anything actually there? I think there could be. I'm curious to see it. I'm curious to see if he can help them this season, maybe win a couple more games. Whether that's a good thing or not, we'll see. But you don't want to see them just lay down. You want to see them at least play hard. Is James Wiseman a fit? Do you think that you're going to see more positive or negative from him this year?
I think you're going to see more positive because I don't think there's much negative more you can see. I think he is at his absolute floor right now. So the man can only get better. He can only show flashes of that extreme athleticism, extreme talent around the basket. And it's something that I really am excited to see this season. See if they put them out there together, which it's sounding like they're going to because they said they're going to start Wiseman, and you're not benching Duren. If they bench Duren, I will never go to a Pistons game again in my life.
A second that.
Yeah, it is not going to happen. There's no way in hell. I will be, if they bench Jalen Duren, I will be down there in front of Little Caesars Arena with a fire Dwayne Casey sign every day for the rest of the year. But Chris, you're a big Pistons guy. You know a lot. You watch a lot. What do you think that James Wiseman can bring to this Pistons team? Because they did say they were going to start him. It has to be alongside Jalen Duren.
Well, I think to go to the original question of just what do you want to see out of him this year, I just want him to play. Because my thing is, and I'm just going to say it right now, I do not want the Pistons to have on their roster all of these 4 players next year. Jalen Duren, Beef Stew, Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman.
Very fair.
I don't think that these 4 players can all fit together. I think we've been selling the mixing and matching possibilities, but we've been mixing and matching for a season and a half now since acquiring Bagley, and it's just not working. Some of these players aren't progressing, or maybe they just don't fit right. But that front court rotation, while we do need bodies, the Pistons need to clear that up and make it clear. So I need Wiseman to play as much as possible so I can see, can he fit next to Duren? Is he just a backup to Duren? What does that mean for Beef Stew and Bagley going forward? I need the Pistons to just make that front court clear, because right now it is not, and it has been just a carousel since 2020. So it needs to be fixed. But as far as what he can bring, I think he brings much needed athleticism, much needed of just like electricity and punch. A lot of what Jalen Duren brings, Wiseman brings in a different way. And I think that that's good, because you look at the Pistons roster again last year, nothing but just non-athletic. I mean, you're talking about Trey Lyles and Luka Garza. I mean, you know, who's the rim runner in that scenario?
Nobody.
There is no rim runner. So he brings that. And as far as everything else, we're gonna see what's his touch like around the rim with his back to the basket. Does he get many opportunities? Is he able to show off a little bit of a mid-range? Does he have any passing or playmaking potential and capabilities? How is he in the pick and roll? Those are all things we got to see, because truthfully, we haven't gotten to see it. The Warriors system is so unique, and if you don't fit in it, then all of a sudden you're just... I've watched tape on this guy, and I really don't know what he does, other than I know that he has physical tools and gifts.
JB, what do you think? What do you think James Wiseman could bring to the Pistons, at least this year, for the rest of the season?
I mean, this year, of course, you know, they don't have winning on their mind. So I think this year is just that trial and error experiment that they're going to try out there with Wiseman. I think they are going to do this 2 big man formation that they've got going on right now between Duren and Wiseman. I mean, of course, I wouldn't take Duren out of the game. Obviously, the man just had a 30-point, 17-rebound game not too lately. Like, dude's a beast.
30, 17, 4, and 3 assists.
Yeah, like, come on. You're not taking him out of the game. So I think moving forward, this is just an experimental stage to see how these two can work and gel together on the floor. And then again, it's no pressure on Wiseman either, because you're just throwing them out there just to play, just to get comfortable with themselves. Because as Chris said, that Golden State system is so unique that if you don't come in with that winning mentality, you're not going to fit in well, and they're going to obviously just kick you out or to the bench.
Yeah, I agree. And with the foursome that you were talking about, Chris, with Wiseman, Duren, Bagley, and Stu, it's Duren and Wiseman are the centers. Like, Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley are not centers. They are not good when they play center. They cannot play center in the NBA. And we've seen so far this year that the stretch 4 experiment with Isaiah Stewart has been a failure. So I've talked about it. A lot of people love Isaiah Stewart for what he does, how he hustles, what he did to LeBron, where he was spitting blood all over the court and run after him. And I like Beef Stew, don't get me wrong. Like, he's a good player, but in a best-case scenario, he's the second big off the bench. On a winning team, he's the second big off the bench. So Wiseman gives you a legitimate another big to put in there, a guy who can do some other things. I saw him as the backup center, but for them to be saying too that they're going to play him alongside Jalen Duren possibly, we'll see how that works out. Maybe they're trying to go Twin Towers, Admiral and Tim Duncan look. But
Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond
2.0, we'll see what goes on there. But for me, I agree with you, Chris. What James Wiseman could bring to this team is athleticism, electricity, rim running, and hopefully some defense, hopefully some shot blocking, something. Because like you've said multiple times, Sam, in his rookie year, he didn't do nothing. Like he was 11-5, 6.5, and about a block per game. Yeah. The guy went out there and made plays.
Yeah, he doesn't. James Wiseman, he's a guy who obviously all he really is right now is raw potential. Obviously, he had an okay rookie year, but only played 37 games, I believe. He's only played 60 games in 3 seasons. He's relatively done nothing. We have a lot of hope, and we're banking a lot on somebody who basically has no resume and very little tape. And one of the reasons why I'm so okay with this and choosing to be more hopeful is that I still believe, and I was about to have to eat my words real quick if that trade didn't go through, that losing Saddiq Bey will not matter at all.
I don't think it's that.
Yes. Saddiq Bey has...
He's a solid bench guy.
Yeah, he's a solid bench guy. He has no ceiling whatsoever. And you were mentioning...
I think he's at his ceiling.
Right, like he's at his ceiling. There's nothing... He's proven that he's not going to get any better, especially as a defender and as a consistent shooter. And you kind of mentioned, and Chris, you brought this up about sort of a log jam in the front court. You mentioned Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley. I mean, that's the thing. Marvin Bagley has kind of been disappointing this year, and he's been hurt. Isaiah Stewart is not a stretch four and never will be. I contend, and this is where I think a lot of people are going to get mad at me, that Isaiah Stewart has been a little bit of a media creation. He's got a cool nickname. He fought LeBron. Actually, a terrible nickname in my opinion. He fought LeBron.
Terrible? What?
I don't like beef
stew.
stew.
You don't like beef stew?
No, I don't.
Why not?
It's just, I mean, it's makes me think of the food. I just don't like it.
You don't like beef stew, the food? Like, beef stew is good food.
I like it, but I don't want to associate it with a basketball player.
All right.
He said it like such a child. Like, I don't want to eat that.
He made
I
me
don't
think
want to eat that.
I associate it with the food. Me.
But yeah, James Wiseman, at least with him, he has... With Jalen Duren, we already know we got somebody who's legit. A guy who's going to probably be a starter for many, many years to come. Maybe an all-star.
For sure an all-star.
You never know.
I do. He's going to be an all-star.
Well... I meant that more of like you never know how high he could go. I think it's going to be an all-star.
Spencer knows.
I know.
He's going to be an all-star as well.
I am the all-seeing oracle.
Yes. But with James Wiseman, he actually has a ceiling. He actually has some, just watching him rim run in his highlights. And I know it's just highlights, and I'm getting kind of all worked up about the few highlights that he had in Golden State, but he's our guy now. What am I supposed to do? Just be like, oh my God, why do we get James Wiseman? No, he's got a lot of potential.
Like I said, I wasn't in love with the trade. I didn't hate the trade.
Sure.
I think that's what you were going to get for Saddiq Bey on the trade market. And I've said it before, I don't think that Bojan Bogdanovic and Saddiq Bey can exist together on the same lineup. They're the same player. They bring you the same thing. Neither of them plays any defense. They're shooters, and Bojan's more efficient.
Yeah.
So
Bojan actually is a shooter. Saddiq Bey is a shooter in name only. It's true. It's just by the numbers.
By the numbers.
He never improved his shot. He actually got worse as a three-point shooter, and just we see people in the chat and they're saying different things. Clop Sauce says beef stew is Jason Maxiell, and yeah, I mean it's a little better than
a little bit better, a little bit, but not a lot better. They're very similar. You look at Apollo says Wiseman's defensive awareness is my biggest concern for him, but he has the length to hang, and that's true. He's got the physical tools, the athleticism, the length to be a good shot blocker. We'll see what he can do. Jeb Large, James Wiseman can play defense. He can. He showed he averaged a block a game his rookie year, so he can at least do something down there. He's got to be a guy that will make people think twice. Now, with him and Jalen Duren in the paint, people are going to be thinking twice about when they go in there. And Adiz411 says Duren and Wiseman both played at Memphis, which is true. I don't think they're spending any time together, but it's still it's good stock at Memphis from big man. But the future is bright. Obviously, it's all about the upside and the ceiling with James Wiseman, and we'll see what he can do. Maybe he needs to lose a little weight. He's, the G League got a little big for him, but we got the place for him if he does, and that is Custom Health Centers. If you're disgusting and out of shape like I am, you can go to Custom Health Centers and lose some of that weight. Our very own Ryan Ermanni did it. Look at him. He went from Corey Spaghetti to Corey Maggette. But in all seriousness, Ryan Ermanni did enlist the help of Custom Health Centers and is down upwards of 20 pounds. You can do the same. Call them at 844-789-8446. That's 844-789-8446. Call Custom Health Centers today and let them help you lose some weight.
I love Woodward Sports. sports, love wearing clothes, then you should be wearing Woodward Sports Clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends, impress your boss, impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on woodwardsports.com. I'm Spencer Raxter. He is Flannel Sam. We've got Chris Platty in the TD booth and JB Smooth on the ones and twos. We just got done talking about James Wiseman being officially traded to Detroit after the failed physical by Gary Payton II. The trade has gone through. He is a Detroit Piston. Hopefully, we'll be seeing him on the court pretty soon. Now, to players that we had seen on the court, and we've seen on the court all year. 2 guys that have been under the microscope a lot this season. 2 guys, I think, that are both in the top 5 for rookies so far this season. Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. Who would you say is having the better rookie season so far?
Up until recently, I would have said Jaden Ivey. But right now, I'm going to go with Jalen Duren. And the reason why is because Jalen Duren he was inserted in the starting lineup, and the numbers he's put up since then have been not rookie of the year in this year, but he'd be higher on the list than he is. I think he's a guy that at the end of the season, you might be seeing him flirt with averaging a double-double. He's averaging closer to 9 and 9 now. Mm-hmm. He's provided the Pistons exactly what they need as sort of a rim protector, a perimeter defender, which he's been
fantastic. That still blows my mind how he could stay out there against guards so well. And
he's young. He's added some offensive touch to his game. He's shooting 65%. A lot of it is on dunks and layups and everything, but he's shown flashes of a jump shot, which if he adds that, then maybe he can be an offensive threat, and Jalen Duren can really, really reach his ceiling. Jaden Ivey, to me, I like a lot of what he's done. I think for the most part, he's had a really good rookie year. It's just his inconsistent shot is concerning. He's shooting below 42%. And he, along with Killian Hayes, were the only reasons why the Pistons didn't blow the San Antonio Spurs out. The San Antonio Spurs G League team out in that game. What was Jaden Ivey, like 3 for 15? Yeah. Just a terrible, terrible performance. And in that game, Jalen Duren had 30 and 17. Mm-hmm. It's not all about one game. It's about, to me, Jaden Ivey, he's sort of, I don't know if he's a top 5 rookie anymore. I hate to say it. I would definitely put Banchero, Benedict Mathurin. I would put Jalen Williams from OKC. I'd put Keegan Murray over him. And right now, I'd put Jalen Duren over him. What Jalen Duren has done well, he's done better than what Jaden Ivey has done well. And what Jaden Ivey has also not done well is play defense. His playmaking, I don't know if he ever was going to be elite at that in the first place. I've been, for the most part, impressed.
It's been pretty good. His passing is better than I thought.
Yeah, I would say that hasn't been a knock at all. To me, though, it's the inconsistent shot. It's the streakiness. I know he's a rookie, and I'm not going to pound the table and say, oh, my God, why we pick Jaden Ivey. It's just when you're going against Jalen Duren, who we've seen take such strides, be their best defender, be a real post scorer at times, actually show that he can make and take and have a pretty looking jump shot. When you're going up against him and all of his improvement, I would say right now, definitely Jalen Duren.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going with Duren as well, and I feel like that's kind of become the easy answer recently. But I mean, even if you just look at his per game numbers, it's easy, baby.
Yes.
Per 36, 12 and 12 would be what Duren would be getting this season if he was playing 36 minutes. And he does already. I'm looking at the rookie leaderboard now. He does lead all rookies in rebounds already by over a rebound a game margin.
Yeah, he's got 434 rebounds on the season already.
Dude's a monster. So I will say that Duren is the better rookie, has been more impressive so far. But again, you do have to factor in like the responsibilities. Like Jaden Ivey has been tasked with, handling the ball, being the primary shot creator, and Duren, well, I'm not saying this is all his game. Obviously, he's shown flashes to have more, but for now, it's been learn the defense as best you can and just run to the rim, make dunks, make a lot of effort plays, and he's done that. So I will say that Duren has had an easier path to really showcase what he has. But overall, I do think Duren it has been the better rookie. Just cut Jaden Ivey some slack. I mean, 17 and 4. I mean, he's already the lead, the rookie leader in assists per game and points per game. He's third behind only Benedict Mathurin and Paolo. So I mean, he's exceeding expectations in both of those fields. So I think you got to give him that credit.
That's fair. KB, how you feeling? Easy, baby. Speak easy, baby.
I gotta agree with you guys. Like, I think we're all on the same page of Jalen Duren just being him, being that guy. I give Ivey credit though, because I mean, at the beginning of the season, he was starting to blossom. He was starting to see flashes of who this really guy could be. But as soon as Cade took that dip, that's when we started to see the decline of Ivey a little bit. And he's been on a slump as of lately, but Duren hasn't missed a step lately. As soon as you give him more minutes, he's making the best out of every minute he is out there, and it shows. So, as Flannel said, soon enough you'll see a double-double from this guy. So I'm all with Duren being a better rookie.
I agree. I obviously, you look at the stats. Jalen Duren obviously went for 30, 17, 4 blocks, 3 assists in their last game. He's the youngest player to ever have 30 and 17 in the history of the NBA. He leads the NBA rookies with 434 rebounds at 8.9 per game and 12 double-doubles. He's been extremely impressive. But I really like what Chris's point that I was going to say the same thing. Jaden Ivey's been asked to do so much, obviously with Cade Cunningham going down. Going into this season, he was not going to be asked to nearly do as much as he has been. Since Cade Cunningham got injured, he's been the primary facilitator. He's been the primary shot initiator. He's been having to run this offense and take a much bigger role than he originally was expected to at the beginning of the season. I expect him as a rookie, as a young guard who is the lead guard on a team in the NBA, to have ups and downs. You can't expect a young guard who is the top guard on a team, a rookie guard being the top guard on a team in the NBA, to go out there and be a stud every night. He's going to have ups and downs. He's going to have good games with the bad. And I expect him to get better as the season goes on. And next year, we'll really see him flourish. Having this experience now, and then having Cade Cunningham beside him on the court next year will be extremely helpful to him. But as of right now, you got to give it to Jalen Duren. Even if he's being asked to do much less than what Jaden Ivey is, he is still going out there and producing. He is one of the best rebounders in the league already. And, people are taking notice. Robert Williams says he fucking hates playing Jalen Duren because that guy is going to be on the board over and over and over relentlessly. He is huge. That post game he showed against Zach Collins. He was hitting turnaround hook shots off his right shoulder, off his left shoulder. I was like, I don't care if it's Zach Collins. This is impressive to see the touch that he had around the rim against the Spurs.
Baby Hakeem
hitting him with the dream shake. But I'm not going that far. But it was very impressive what I saw him do in the post against the Spurs. I do think Ivey is getting a little more. I have a much longer leash for Jaden Ivey because he's being asked to do so much with Cade Cunningham down.
No, and that's fair. And by no means am I saying that Jaden Ivey is having by any means a disappointing rookie season. I just think this is a rookie class, and a class with one of the fellow rookies is your teammate that is getting stronger as the season goes on, like a Keegan Murray has blossomed, Jalen Williams of OKC, and of course Jalen Duren. I mean, leading all rookies in rebounds, that's incredibly impressive. And maybe sometimes I do need to cut Jaden Ivey a little bit more slack because I don't think he's meant to be a primary ball handler on a team and be the guy who's
supposed to be the secondary ball
right, who gets others involved to be like your number one facilitator. That is not Jaden Ivey's game at all. I want to see how he pairs with Cade next year, and I think like a lot of the Pistons' fortunes, if Cade Cunningham were playing, I think Jaden Ivey would be, his numbers would look a little bit more impressive. They'd be a little bit more efficient because he is asked. You're right. He is the best guard on the team. Well, yes, the best guard on the team.
For sure.
As a rookie.
Yeah.
And not as a super duper rookie, as just a very good rookie expected to be the best guard on your team.
Yep.
That's way too much to ask. And for the most part, he's done a very good job.
He has. He fell into a situation with Cade Cunningham going down where he was asked to do a lot more than the Pistons originally wanted him to. Like you said, he was not supposed to be your primary ball handler, your primary facilitator, and taking so many shots. He was supposed to be a guy that played off of Cade Cunningham, took the pressure off him sometimes, maybe led the team when Cade was on the bench for short stretches. But I've been impressed with both of them. I've been impressed, obviously, with Jalen Duren and what he's done, but with what Jaden Ivey has done with his increased role, I can't be mad at it. But let me tell you guys about Guardian Alarm, because Guardian Alarm offers customized solutions from real experts. Their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. With their 24/7 professional monitoring, you can call them anytime, day or night, and know a Guardian Alarm team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. And of course, they have technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's proven to work and people who have been proven to care. So call them at 1-800
Stay out.
That's 1-800
Stay out,
and let them know Woodward Sports sent you.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You can get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome back to the last segment of the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. Jesus, Rachel, come on. But we appreciate you all for joining us. And I have some things we're going to talk about a little bit here, but before we do that, I got to talk about the fights over the weekend. It was a fantastic card. Obviously, we know Islam and Volk was the head fight, and that was an amazing fight. 5 rounds, dudes just going at it. Volkanovski, I thought, did enough to win, but I'm not upset that they gave it to Islam, because Islam, I don't think he did enough to take the belt away from him, but I also don't think Islam did enough to take pound for pound number 1 away from Volk. So we'll see how that goes on. But that was just a great fight. One of the best title fights I've seen in a while. People said Volk couldn't handle it. Volk would get smashed and all that shit. No, Volk was doing his fucking thing. And I loved seeing that. He got better as the fight went on. In that 5th round, he was whooping Islam's ass. And it was very, very impressive for me. A huge performance. I see Epic in the chat saying robbed. I'm not going to say robbed. It was close. And when you're close, you normally give it to the champion, because you got to take the belt away from somebody. You can't be close, but you have to take the belt away from. But I thought Volkanovski won at the very least 2 rounds. Somebody had it 49-46. I was like, what? But it was an impressive fight either way. And then the one before that as well, Josh Emmett versus Yair Rodriguez. Yair looked like madman, dude. So I don't know what Volk's going to do, but Yair now holds his interim belt. So if he has to go down there and fight him, that's going to be a good matchup. I'm excited to see because Yair looked long. He was throwing some great strikes. It was an impressive fight. He took the power of Josh Emmett a couple times and kept going. It was very, very impressive. And Volk was way, way smaller, obviously. You know, he had to go up to fight him, but he doesn't back down, man, and you got to give him props. He went out there and he gave Islam by far his toughest test so far, and I could have seen him winning that fight. I'm not mad with it either way. I get why they didn't take the belt away from Islam, because Volk really didn't do enough to take the belt from him, except for that 5th round when he was giving it to him, man. So I was impressed by that, but I know you guys don't do too much UFC, so I do want to talk about something else that in the skills competition, or we just saw all the skills competition and stuff of the NFL.
Yeah.
And the NBA is coming up soon. NBA All-Star Weekend is the best in all professional sports.
Easy.
Easily the best in all professional sports.
Baby.
It's easy, baby. And this year, in the celebrity game, a former Detroit Lion is going to be participating in the NBA celebrity game, and that is one Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
And he is on the same team as one DK Metcalf.
Man.
Actually, he's not. I have the rosters here if you want to.
They're on opposite teams.
Yeah, they're on opposite teams.
No, they're just on opposite teams. So I believe, Calvin is on Team Ryan? I have no idea who Team Ryan is.
Yeah, and then Team Dwayne is
DK.
Is DK.
No way.
I can read the roster. You want me to read the roster?
On the same side. Yeah.
Okay, so on Team Ryan, I'm calling it Team Calvin. But Ryan Smith, Kane Brown, Corday, Diamond D Shields.
Why'd you say it like that?
Why'd you say it like that?
Because I'm really mad at Corday right now. I need him to step his game up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Marcos Mian, TV host. I don't know who that is.
No idea.
But, you go to me for the reads. The Miz,
Hell yeah.
Albert Pujols. That's actually interesting.
Big Albert Pujols.
Everett Osborne, Uzna. Don't know who that is. Gilmore Rodriguez and Sinqua Walls. And then Team Dwayne, real quick, is Dwayne Wade, Nicky Jam.
Wait, D Wade's playing?
No, coach.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that's not fucking fair.
It's not fair. It definitely wouldn't be fair. Jesser, Simu Liu. I hope I'm saying that right.
You're probably not. This is good though. I like this segment.
He's an actor from
Who's that?
7 Rings? Or
yes.
10 Rings?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in a commercial with Giannis.
Oh, okay. Hassan Mihan.
There we go.
Mihan, yeah. DK Metcalf, know that one. Janelle Monáe. Arike Ongubale.
This is great. I'm really glad.
That's bad, isn't it?
I'm really glad we decided to do this.
And then 21 Savage.
Savage.
Ranveer Francis Tiafoe. Don't know how to say that. And then Alex Toussaint, which is
all right.
Peloton coach.
Chris butchered every single name except for Dwayne Wade, DK Metcalf, and Calvin Johnson. But now that's even more interesting. They're going to be playing across from each other.
Yeah.
I know Calvin heard the chirping of DK's the next Megatron. I want to see Calvin Johnson put his nuts on DK Metcalf's head. Just shit on him. Man, I feel like that would be great.
Yeah, of course, because DK Metcalf, obviously he's a physical specimen in and of itself.
He's a freak of nature.
But Calvin Johnson is one of those once in a generation, touched by someone above to I'm talking like a higher power.
Okay.
A higher power, just touched by God.
Hey, yo.
As just one of those once in a generation type of athletes, one of the biggest physical specimens we've ever seen in the NFL.
He's the freak of nature.
And I'm not even gonna disagree with that. I'd probably say that he's the number one freak of nature. And so what that means is that he's one of those guys that could probably pick up a sport and just be great at it right away.
Oh, 100%.
Just because of how great and athletic he is. So to me, Calvin Johnson, shoot, if he could like dunk on DK Metcalf nuts in the face,
That'd
it's
be
like you
awesome.
are not Megatron.
Yeah.
You're DK Metcalf. That's
and then,
fine.
And then block him on the other side.
Oh, yes.
That'd be great.
Or do like a Shaq to Chris Dudley or whatever.
Yeah, shove him. That would be awesome. I'm excited to see Calvin out there, man. I'm excited to see Calvin get some buckets.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm excited for all those people I read.
Yeah, I'm excited for the 3 that you pronounced correctly. But that'll do it for us today. We appreciate you all for tapping into the Woodward Heavyweights live on woodwardsports.com. For the man to my left, Flannel Sam, Chris Platty in the TD booth,
Stay away
JB
from
Smooth on
Folga.
the 1s and 2s. I am Spencer Ragsdor. We are the Woodward Heavyweights, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.